Hi there, my name is Samantha and I am just starting this out because I am someone who just does a ton of different crafty things all the time, and I am an avid watcher of FlossTube and knitting podcasts and different tutorials on YouTube, and I have always wanted to start a vlog or a podcast or whatever you want to call it. And I've always kind of put it on the back burner and said, well, I'll do it whenever I get around to it. And so with it being the end of the year, we're coming up on 2024. I figured to end out 2023, it's the perfect time to kind of do a WIP parade, to go through all of my works in progress, to look at some things that I have completed, and to take stock of where I am. What am I going to continue in 2024? What am I going to frog? What am I going to just get rid of because it's not serving me? Just basically, where am I going from here for 2024? I'm someone who likes to plan things out if I have the mental capacity, and that's key. I have to have the mental capacity to do it. And so I figure this is a great way for me to make myself accountable to make sure that happens. Side note, I am a bariatric patient, and so I've been chronicling all of my bariatric tales over on TikTok. And every now and then I'll put a little bit of crafting material, stuff that I'm working on, things like that over on TikTok as well. So there might be a little bit of crossover. We'll see what happens. But for the most part, I'm hoping for this channel to give me some accountability for all of my different projects that I work on throughout the year. So let's get started. So let's talk about what I have finished for 2023. So let me pull up my Ravelry. I've got my Ravelry on my iPad here, and I am going to look at recently finished, and I'm going to put 2023. And so it's going to bring up on my Ravelry all of the projects that I finished, that I logged as finished. Let's be real. These are the things that I logged on Ravelry, because there have been probably some other things that I didn't log it for whatever reason. Usually that's going to be like crochet projects, any sewing projects, those wouldn't be on there. What else? Cross stitch, I haven't finished anything, so there's that. So for 2023, I finished, according to Ravelry, I finished 5 items. So one of them was a sweater for my husband. It has been several years in the making that he's been asking me to make him a sweater, and he picked out his yarn in 2021. And it sat all the way to 2023. He even had the pattern picked out. It was the basic Raglan from Locatelli. He had everything ready to go. I could not bring myself to get started on it for whatever reason. And I mean, there wasn't any reason. It was literally just me. I just didn't want to work on it. So I finally started, I casted it on at the end of 2022. And I finished it in May of this year. And it was in Red Stag, Fibre, Estate DK in 2 colors, Welsh Slate. And then I used for the gray, because I couldn't find a good gray that I like to go with the Welsh Slate. I put in Madeline Tosh Work Sock Sport in Dead Calm. It had a little bitty like flecks of green in it. It was really kind of a cool colorway. So I put those 2 together, and got it done. And then I blocked it. And I guess I overblocked it, or I overshot gauge, which I don't understand that because I did a gauge swatch. Everything was perfect. Everything was great with my gauge swatch. My husband's a big guy. He is 6'3". At the time, he was close to 300 pounds. So big guy. And when he put it on, he was swimming in it. It was, the sleeves were too long. The body was a good length. The size around was a good length. Probably I could pull back the sleeves a little bit and I could probably make it work. But I think we have decided that we're just going to frog the whole thing and start over with a different type of sweater. So, here's a picture of him trying it on. Not the greatest fit. So we are going to frog this in 2024. I don't know if we're going to start anything new with it in 2024, but it will be frogged. And yeah, it is what it is. The next thing that I completed, I started it right after I finished his sweater. And I had a deadline on this for myself. I set the personal deadline for myself. And it was because I wanted to wear it for Houston Fibre Fest. I live in the greater Houston area. And we haven't had a Fibre Fest in a couple years because of the pandemic. And so the last time we had a show, I purchased yarn from Savvy Skeins specifically to make this sweater. And the goal was I wanted to be able to wear that sweater to the very next Houston Fibre Fest, not knowing that we weren't going to have a Fibre Fest in 2020 or 2021 or 2022. So it kind of is what it is, but that yarn sat for years waiting on me to get started. So I saw in the 2019 Houston Fibre Fest, I saw a lady walking around that was wearing this gorgeous, gorgeous sweater, t-shirt kind of sweater. And it was made up of several different colors that blended together beautifully. And it had a V neck to it. And so I stopped her. I said, I need to know what that pattern is. It is absolutely gorgeous. And so she told me it was the V back tee by Jamie Hoffman. So I immediately grabbed some fingering weight yarn in colors. I went to the Savvy Skeins booth right then and there. I picked out 5 different colors of yarn that all had like this burnt orange component to it. And I felt like that would really allow for the colors to melt together as I was knitting them. And let's see. I grabbed a skein of Pandemonium, a skein of Regatta, a skein of Rooster, a skein of Rusted Wagon Wheel, and a skein of Venice Beach. And so I finally cast on that sweater May 28th, 2023. The show was in June. I finished it with enough time to block it and have it ready to go. I completed it on June 14th. I flew through that tee. I got that completed in just a couple of weeks, got it blocked and wore it, and it was absolutely amazing. The problem is I only got to wear it that one time. And that's because I started my bariatric journey at that point. And so I, right after Houston Fibre Fest, started on my liquid diet to prepare for surgery. And then I had my surgery on July 19th. So I lost a lot of weight very quickly. Thankfully, I was able to give that to one of my friends who will be able to wear it, and I hope she absolutely adores it. But here is me, my bathroom selfie that I took right there at Houston Fiber Fest. Not the greatest quality, but again, I haven't had the chance to wear it again, and I've already donated it to my friend. So would I make it again? Heck yes. And I probably will someday, but I have so many other projects that I want to get done. I don't see that happening anytime soon. The third thing that I got completed, I started it in February of 2023, and I finished it right before my surgery, July 16th of 2023. This was a crochet project. I happened to see Woolen Vine post about this on her social media, and I saw her talk about it in her podcast, and I was like, ooh, that is super cute. And it is perfect for Advent minis. For a couple years, I was getting the Yarn Cafe Creations and Dragon Hoard Yarn Harry Potter Advents. And so I had been gathering these Advents for so long, which I still have a ton sitting up here. There's a box right up here that has a bunch of minis. And I had one full skein that was for Slytherin House. And so I had a bunch of blues and greens and just moody colors like that to go along with that larger Slytherin skein. So I put those all together and I created the Intentions wrap by KnotBadBritt, which honestly, you guys, as soon as I finished it and I was like, okay, I'm done, I never wove in the ends. It is sitting here waiting for me to weave in ends. Let me grab it real quick. So I've got it. It's ready to go. It's completed. It's not been blocked. It has not had the ends woven in, but it's done. And I think I am going to work on that probably later today to really finally get this thing finished. So this is the Intentions wrap by KnotBadBritt using Advent minis from Yarn Cafe Creations and Dragon Hoard Yarn. You can see all of my ends here. And so it's this gorgeous repeat, crochet repeat, that uses the main skein to start, and then you start peppering in the minis, whatever order you want to do them in. And then in between the minis, you use the main skein. And you go all the way through all of your colors. And then in the middle, you're going to use a mini in the middle, but you're going to double the length that you had on the rest. And then you're going to go in reverse order all the way back to the end. And so it ends up being this beautiful, almost scarf-like wrap. Once I get it blocked, it'll open up beautifully and the ends woven and all that. I just haven't gotten there yet. That's going to be one of those things that I think maybe I'll work on that today. Maybe I'll work on it tomorrow. I've got some things I want to do, but that's where I'm at with that. That is the Intentions wrap by KnotBadBritt. And I started in February, I ended it in July. After that, I started in my lead up to surgery, and I finished it the month after surgery. A shawl that I had been wanting to work on for years. I had the yarn picked out for it for years, and I never did. And I really loved the finished project itself. I wanted the product. It had a little bit of brioche. It had a little bit of lace. It had just a smattering of all of the cool things that I love about knitting. So I decided on the lead up to my surgery that I was going to cast it on, and it was going to be my comfort project as I was healing. So without further ado, let me present to you the Shake It Up shawl. So this is the Shake It Up shawl. I did finish this in August. I don't have it here with me because I have it up at work. I teach at a high school. I also teach at 3 colleges, mostly online, but at the high school that I teach at, the temperatures can drop really fast, air conditioning wise. We live in Houston, they crank the AC up. And so sometimes I get really chilly. And so I have this sitting at my desk at work for when those moments happen. I can just wrap it around, and I absolutely love this shawl. But it was very, very muted, nice colors. I used 3 different colors. 2 of them are from Dragon Hoard yarn, but this subtle colorway had creams and pinks and tans and little bits of baby blue scattered throughout. And so I went with Sky Nymph from Dragon Hoard yarn, Doe-Eyed from Dragon Hoard yarn, and then to kind of go with the theme, there was a Qing fiber that I picked up at my LYS, the Modern Skein, that was called Spirit. And these 3 colors just were gorgeous together. So they just kind of all melted together really, really nicely. And I absolutely just loved the way that this came out. It had sections of brioche. It was asymmetrical. So it was a very, very lengthy kind of asymmetrical triangle. And you made it kind of at this angle, and it kept going up. And then you start to fill it with short rows. It was absolutely just gorgeous. There it is blocking. I love it. It is one of my favorite shawls I've ever made before. So the last thing that I completed according to Ravelry, there's been some sewing stuff that I've completed, but when it comes to yarn related things, one of the things that I love to do every year is to participate in the West Knits Mystery Knit Along. I have done 4 out of the last 5 years. I have done a lot of Stephen West designs because I love the way that his brain works. The geometric shapes, the brioche, it always keeps my attention. I can use colors that I normally wouldn't use. I can use the colors that I do normally use. And if you couldn't tell, I do have quite the palette. I kind of stick to moody kind of colors. That's my jam, is the moody colors. Blacks and grays and maroons and purples and blues and greens and teals. Those are my jam. You're very rarely going to see me ever do anything in bright reds or yellows. I will do oranges, and that's because we are a Longhorn household. So you'll see orange kind of frequently and things, but again, on the moody side of things, burnt orange, those deep dark russet colors, yes, definitely so. So without going too much into the drama of this year's Mystery Knit Along, I did do the Mystery Knit Along this year, but I did not start it with everybody else. The beginning of this school year was really difficult for me. There were a lot of changes. I was staying at work most nights until like 7 o'clock at night, trying to do all of the things. And so I didn't really come up for air until mid-October. And at that point, the Mystery Knit Along was already started, which is fine. I totally knew that most likely I was not going to be able to start it on time, but I had been thinking after seeing the preview information and all of that, I was already thinking about what yarns I wanted to use, what color scheme I wanted to use. And I made the decision before I even started that this mystery knit along was going to be a gift. I already knew in advance that this was going to be a gift for my best friend for Christmas. We have not had our Christmas yet, and I'm hoping that she will not see this. I don't know when this video is going to go up. So, Laura, if you're watching, turn away. So, I did not start the mystery knit along until October the 22nd, which is after all of the drama that happened with the mystery knit along. I was following it all because when you're underwater, sometimes you need a brain break that gets you away from all of the things going on in your life. Something to give your brain the chance to take a breather and go, whew, okay, we can think about something else. And so when all of the drama came out about the center square of the Geogradient mystery knit along, I saw it all. And the day that the pattern came out, the clue one came out, I do not care about spoilers. I'm not a person that's going to get mad at someone for a spoiler or anything like that. Like, that's not me. I spoil things for myself all the time, and I'm totally okay with that. So with the mystery knit along, I knew I was going to spoil it for myself. I wanted to see where we were going. I wanted to see what clue one was. And I went into the forums and I was looking at the pinwheel shape, and I immediately went, oh, that does not look right. There's something about it. There's something about it that just put me on edge. I'm not the person that's going to make a comment about that, though. I'm not a person that's going to berate someone about that. I'm not going to do any of that, but it just, I don't know how to put it other than it gave me a super uneasy feeling. And as I was scrolling through more comments, somebody made the comment that it looked like a hate symbol, and I immediately went, oh, that's what it is. That's what's causing me that unease. Oh. I can see what he was trying to do. He's trying to do this quilt-like pattern, a pinwheel. And I get it. Like, I see that, but I can't unsee the other thing. So I was trying to figure out, like, do I still want to do this? So I decided, okay, instead of focusing on that, I'm going to focus on gathering colors so that I can be prepared to start the mystery knit along. And so what I decided in the process, when all of the drama was happening, as people were coming up with alternates and Stephen West was putting out the new version of Clue 1, I made the decision to stick to all yarns from one of my greatest friends. My friend dyes yarn for a living. It's her side hustle right now. She actually works in retail normally, and she hand dyes yarn, and she sells at Fibre festivals and online. So like at Houston Fibre Fest, she sells there. She vends at Dallas, Fort Worth Fibre Fest, DFW Fibre Fest. And so I help her out in her booth every year when she's doing those things. And she came out with a line of neon yarn over the past year that just is absolutely just, it's just beautiful. And it is when you stick it together with like blacks or other dark moody colors, it is just amazing. I decided to go with yarns from her line. And so I grabbed two of the neons. I grabbed her neon bright pink and her neon purple here. And then I also grabbed a deep purple color and then her black color. And I decided to go with Stephen West's version 3 for Clue 2, which is the radiating square. And I am so stinking excited at how this came out. It is absolutely amazingly gorgeous. I love it so incredibly much. It's just gorgeous. And I'm thrilled with how it came out. I did decide on the dip stitches down here. I decided to only go through the color scheme one time, and that was it. So it's plenty big. The colors are absolutely scrumptious, and my friend Laura is going to love it. I just know that she's gonna love it. This is a different friend, Laura, that dyes this yarn. And so she has her neon line and then her regular colors line that is in Stellar Sock Base. That's what this is, the Stellar Sock Base. And I ended up with leftovers of every color of this. So if you're on the fence about the Geogradient shawl and you're wondering if you'll have enough yarn, I would definitely dive in if that's something that you're interested in. Those are all of the finished items that I knitted or crocheted last year. I did get some sewing done this year. This was for Halloween. My husband and I, for the last couple of years, have worked on their historical costumes. 2 years ago, I worked on making a Scottish dress. I definitely was in my Outlander era at that point. I did an Italian Gomorrah dress at one point. So we have been working on different historical cosplay, if you will. This year, we decided to go with Regency. And so we found some patterns from MKAL's, and I spent the majority of October working on both my Halloween costume and his Halloween costume. It was made out of just a blue quilting cotton that had a floral design on it, not too crazy. And then I used a wool blend to make the Spencer jacket that went with it. I finished mine up. It looked great. I absolutely love it. I will insert a picture here if I'm able to. And then for my husband, it was a lot more difficult to find Regency costumes for men that were easily accessible for I'm not a beginner sewist, but I'm not advanced. I need to find a pattern that is easily accessible for someone like me who is a novice for the most part when it comes to sewing clothes. I need forgiving kind of patterns that'll hide a lot of mistakes, if you know what I mean. So we did not find a MKAL's pattern that was specifically Regency. What we did find was some like early Victorian cosplay kind of patterns. And so I worked on making him the pants for that outfit. And like I said, he's a big guy, he's tall, but he's lost a lot of weight over the last 6 months. And he was immediately like, I need a 3X. I need a 3X when you make these. I think that that's going to help with the length because I'm tall. I think that that's what it needs to be. And, you know, we took measurements but there was no difference in the length measurements on the pattern. And so we went with it, and we figured that, you know, if it's too big, he can wear some suspenders and it'll be fine. So we cut out the 3X. I put it all together. He goes to put it on, and it literally just went and fell right off of him. It was huge. So I did what adjusting I could, and he did have to wear suspenders, and he did wear those suspenders on Halloween. But then after I did that, and remember, I'm doing all of this in early October, mid-October, and so I just decided I'm done. I am done when it comes to trying to get this costume together. Like, I have lost the mental capacity. I'm done. I don't want to sew. And so I did none of the rest of that. I went to knitting at that point. I just decided that's it. So I finished those pieces. We wore it on Halloween. Here's a picture of us together. We filled in some pre-made, some fast fashion cosplay stuff to go with it, mostly from Amazon is what it is. But yeah, it came out pretty good. So the other thing that I worked on this year that I completed is another sewing project. This one was because my sister had wanted a puff quilt for my niece. My niece is 1 year old. She just had her first birthday in September. And my sister had shown me a puff quilt that she had been playing on at someone else's house. And she had asked me about making a puff quilt for my niece, Ava. And so I was like, I've never made something like that. I'm not opposed at all, but I've never made one. And I bought some fabric that I was like, it's cute, but it's not really me. So I know that if I mess it up, it's okay. Again, I'm a jump in with both feet into the deep end kind of person. So I don't normally do something like try to make a mock-up first to practice the skill. So this is totally out of my depth. But I decided to do that. But at the same time, I also bought all of the fabric to make the quilt. And I have not made her quilt yet. So I think that's going to be a 2024 project. That might even be something that I work on this week while I'm off school. But I did finish the mock-up. Again, not fabric that I normally would gravitate towards. Again, it's just to practice how to do this. If I remember correctly, I got the pattern from Lo and Behold Stitchery. I think if I remember correctly, she had on her YouTube channel, she had a tutorial on how to do this, or it was on her Instagram, or it was on her website. It's been several months, so I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was Lo and Behold Stitchery. And so I made this super tiny puff quilt. It is a 6x6 block. I was supposed to do the binding using the backing, and I ended up accidentally cutting that. So I had to make my own binding. It's not perfect, as you can see. It's kind of funky looking. It's okay. Like I said, this was literally just me learning how to do it. But on the back, I just have a piece of cream cotton. Again, not great. At this point, I was ready to be done with it and just wanted to get it done. It is ugly stitching, but that's okay. I also used some of the leftover of that Slytherin yarn that I had on the Intentions wrap to tie on the backs through the front, since this is a puff quilt. And so super soft. I love doing the puffs. I don't like doing the binding and the backing. My sister really loved these navy and coral and light blue squares that I found at Target. So you can see the different prints there. She loved them. And so I got 2 sets of that, and that was all I could find. I looked everywhere. Somebody was selling it on eBay, just like 1 pack of these for like, I think I got these for $3, $4 at Walmart, and somebody was selling a bag of them for like $25 because they're not selling them anymore. And I couldn't do it. I could not spend $25 on that. So I went through and I found some coordinating colors of fat quarters. So this will go with it. Let's see, like, goes with it. And then I found these fat quarters here. So I've got to cut all of these into, these are 5x5 squares. So I've got to make 5x5s out of all of these, whatever I can. And then the backing is going to be another similar color. Not quite exactly the same. You can see they're different shades, but it'll make for a great backing with this. So I have all of the pieces to do it. I've had it now for almost a year. So maybe one day I will get to that point. That day is not today. That day is probably not tomorrow either, but we'll see. We'll see how I do on that. So since I'm already talking about sewing projects, let's move on to the quilt that I have been making for, oh gosh, I think I started this like at the heat of the pandemic. And by saying that I started it, I started getting all of the pieces and collecting what I needed and collecting pattern and all of that. So I have all of the pieces for the most part in this tub here, and you can see they're all separated out. Each one is numbered. Each one of these little baggies is numbered. And this was from, oh gosh, what do you call them? A jelly roll? I think you call them a jelly roll. They're the 2.5 inch kind of blocks of fabric. And they're all batiks. And the quilt that I decided on is called the Sakura Sun. Now this was specifically made for a specific designed jelly roll. It is supposed to be for the Blossom Batik Sakura collection from RJR Fabrics. I didn't want to do that. I still wanted to do batiks, but I really just wanted something that would showcase the batiks that I got in that jelly roll. And so when you look at the pattern, I'm going to cover it, most of it up, but when you look at the pattern, you can see the different colors that go across, and it tells you like which pieces, like what size pieces go together and things like that. So what I did is inside there's a color card for each one of the different fabrics from the batik, and it's like this. And so it tells you for this print, you need to cut out this fabric. And so what I did is I labeled each one of these by number. So this was number 1, number 2, and so on. And you can see I put the numbers down. And then I went through and I matched up the fabric to the pattern, the number to the fabric pattern. And then I went through and I made a spreadsheet that goes through rows A, B, and C, because you're doing A, B, and C just repeatedly. A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C. And so I went through and I created a spreadsheet with the number pattern listed out. And so the goal was I would piece together each of those rows and I would go through and do each strip. And I would cut as I need to as I go through. So over the summer, I went through and I started working on the sakura. And I got the first row of A, first row of B, first row of C done. I got them stitched together. And then I stopped. And this is all I got. So I would love to get this done in 2024. I would love to have this completed because my goal is to use this to go over to my mother-in-law and to learn how to free motion quilt on her machine to quilt this all together, because she's got, oh, what is it called? Is it like a Sweet 16 or something like that? And so I really want to finish this, and I just haven't had the time to do it. So that's on the list for 2024. I am hoping to get this done amongst all the other things. Get a little more caffeine, and then we will head into looking at my current WIPs, both knitting, crocheting, and cross stitching, because other than that, I don't think I have any other sewing WIPs that I'm right in the middle of. No, that's a lie. I have a robe that I started like 3 years ago that all I have left on this robe, this plaid robe, is just the tie. I'm going to finish that before 2023 is out. That's going to happen. I have to get that done. Let's go back to talking about knitting. Let me get my Ravelry out again. So let's go with my oldest WIP first. My oldest knitting WIP, I started it in 2018. I have had this yarn since 2013, I think. It is from KnitPicks. It is a cotton yarn, comfy fingering. It is in the color Planetarium and Douglas Fir, which is this dark, moody green, and then just black. Those are the 3 colors. And this is the Marettimo tee by Caitlin Hunter. I started it in July of 2018. And I pretty much have this all the way to where you divide for the sleeves. I've got the whole body done. I have not touched this since 2018. So now my thought process is, it's not even going to fit probably anymore. Do I want to continue? I have frogged and reused this yarn. You can see how wrinkled it is. I have frogged and reused this yarn 3 times now, because every time I get going on a project, I end up stopping halfway through and not finishing the project. And it's not any issue with the pattern or the yarn. I just end up losing steam, and it's super cute, guys. Look at this. Like, it is super cute, and I probably would wear it But now I feel like it would be too big at this point. So I think in 2024, I think this is going to be a frog. I think it's probably time to frog this, because I don't see myself going back to it, especially since I don't fit into it anymore. I've lost close to 100 pounds in the last year, and I'm still losing because, like I said, I'm a bariatric patient, and this was done in a size 2XL, and I am wearing a large now. So as much as I hate to do it, I think this goes to the frog pond. This is sitting in a bag that I made way back. It is not a great bag. It was one of my first bags that I've ever made, and you can tell how horrible the bag itself is, because look, I've got the tail of the zipper is hanging out. So I think probably when I frog this bag is probably also going to the frog pond. Not really frog pond, but it is probably going to get donated. So Marettimo tea, bye-bye. The next oldest is a crochet project, and this is a project that I have been using all of my Advent minis, mostly from the Harry Potter Advent from Yarn Cafe Creations and Dragon Hoard yarn, but it also has others. And this is my Advent Granny. So I have all kinds of squares that have been completed. I've been keeping them in this little tray here. One day I will finish this. It's not today. I have no want to work on these. So for right now, these are just going to go off to the side, and one day I will work on them again. The next thing I started in August of this year, end of August, and this was supposed to be my mindless, I need to get my mind off of everything going on around me kind of knit. And so I wanted a brioche project. I started this before Dallas Fort Worth Fibre Fest, DFW Fibre Fest, earlier on. And then I detoured pretty quickly to do something else while I was at DFW. And so I haven't touched this project since then. I love it. I need to finish it. So this may be something that I go back to over the summer. We'll see. But it is the Flying Foxtail Wrap by Stephen West. This is as far as I've gotten. I have not gotten very far, as you can tell. This is using Stellar Needlecraft Nebula lace in the Midnight Blue colorway. It's almost black. You can see that. And then I am using Suburban Stitcher Single Sock in Cinder. That is the gray color there. So, like I said, I had every intention of doing this. I love Stephen West patterns. I love the yarn. I love working in brioche. I just haven't gone back to it. It just kind of is what it is. So, every intention of working on this, that's just not going to happen anytime soon. This one, I have not touched this. Oh gosh. I haven't touched this in 3 years. I want it. I want this. But wanting it has not pushed me to get it done. The Everyday Slouchy Beanie by Dragon Hoard Yarn by Tristan Molina. I want it. I want the product. This is as far as I've gotten in making the actual beanie. This is using Blue Mule fiber. I am using Fibre Wisp, which is in Midnight Texas colorway. It is this like, it's not really a black. It's like a super, super deep, dark brown, almost black color. Very moody. I want this hat. It's probably time to pick this up and just get it done. I may work on that after some other things. But here's the skeins, the kicks. And again, it is Blue Mule fiber in Wisp, which is that, it's an ultrafine kid mohair and mulberry silk blend. And then I am also using in the same colorway, the extra fine fleck U. So those are put together. And this is in a bag from Diana Couture that I absolutely love. And she is no longer selling her bag. She's selling the patterns. I think I have purchased one of her patterns, and I will probably be making myself some bags out of her pattern. I don't know what her licensing is when it comes to making bags to sell from her patterns. I need to look into that. But one of the things that I have done in the past and I've been thinking about getting back into is sewing project bags again to sell. I was selling them on Etsy. I didn't do any of that this year. But I'm kind of thinking about doing it again. So I'm going to see if she's allowing that. By the way, this bag that I had, the Flying Foxtail, this is in a bag that I made, a drawstring bag. So this would be kind of the type of bag that I would be selling, as well as the bag, the kind of bag that I have for my current WIP. This is also a bag that I made that I was selling in my shop. Comes with the wristlet to hold it, and inside there was a little binder ring that you can put different stitch markers and things like that. And there is a pocket inside. And so that pocket is really good for holding like scissors. I usually put like a Tuft Woolen's hand balm in there because my hands get super dry as I'm knitting. There's a ton of space. This is one of my bigger bags. And so during DFW Fiber Fest, I had this sweater quantity of Dragon Hoard yarn that I was trying to figure out what to do with. This sweater quantity of yarn was in this gorgeous, gorgeous, deep, moody blue called Night Triumphant. Look at that. Oh, so good. My husband bought this for me for Christmas a couple of years back. So anyway, I've had this sweater quantity of yarn for a couple of years now, and I really wanted to get something done. And so while I was going to be around a bunch of yarn people at DFW Fiber Fest, I figured it was the perfect opportunity to work through what I wanted to do. And so I had originally, on the way there, I was like, I'm going to do a ranunculus. Like, I always see people doing the ranunculus. It's always in the top in Ravelry. I have the pattern. I've had it for a long time. I should make a ranunculus. And then as I was there in the hotel room with my friend Laura, I came across Woolen Pines Ponderosa and immediately fell in love. It just so happened that their Instagram post was using a very similar colorway. It was a little more green than this. It was like a really deep, deep teal color, but super moody, like this color. Very much like it. And so I immediately was like, that's it. That's it. That's the one I'm making. That's it. I'm making the Ponderosa tee. I am going to make this no matter what. And so I cast on September the 15th. And let's see, I finished the panel by the end of October. So this was one of the things that when I was talking about, I wanted to finish working on knitting. When I was working on sewing my cosplay stuff for Halloween, I immediately went to this and finished up the first panel. And so this is the panel that's got all of the cables. Now you can see this is very see-through. This is not something that I would be wearing by itself. This would be the way that I'm envisioning it is I will style it over a dress. So this will go up here, and that's part of the collar, and then over here, and then you seam it over here. And then you seam the sides with the back panel. And then once you have those together, from what I understand, I could be totally wrong, then you do the sleeves off of that. So front panel, it is a cropped design. I added probably, I want to say I added an inch to this. I know that when it blocks, it'll open it up a little more. So I don't want it to be super cropped, but I also don't want it to be super dragging long. So I only did like an inch extra. So the front panel done. And I have been working through doing the back panel for the Ponderosa. And you would think I would fly right through this because it's potato chip knit. It is literally stockinette. It is super easy. How much have I gotten done since beginning of November? That much. Not enough. So my goal is to have this panel done before I go back to school on January the 8th. I don't know if that'll happen, but I'm putting it out there. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to manifest that this is going to be done by January the 8th so that I can seam it together and I can start on the sleeves by mid-January, and hopefully by the end of January, I can have the whole thing done. So Ponderosa tee from Wool and Pine. My goal is to have this done while I can still wear it before I lose too much weight. But I mean, it's an oversized croppy kind of tee, so I probably still would wear it. So moving on from there, the last thing that is knit, it is sitting in my, it's hibernating. It's been hibernating for like 3 or 4 years now in my Ravelry queue, and in the process of cleaning up my craft room and trying to put things together the other day, I came across it again. So this is another project that I plan on working on, and these were socks for my nephew Luke. You can see it's in KnitPicks Felici. I have one sock almost completed. I do my socks usually on Magic Loop. I've taken a cue out of the Crazy Sock Lady where I've got the light bulb stitch markers marking it all the way through. And so my goal is I am going to finish the tube sock and then I'm going to do an afterthought heel for him. So these socks have been sitting around since 2019, not completed. So I need to get that done. Got to talk about my cross stitch. Right now, currently, the last like 2 weeks, I have been back with my cross stitch mojo. I have 3 cross stitch projects. One of them I have not touched in a year. And it is the smallest one. It is the one that I started first, and I have no desire to work on it. So I'm not going to pull that one out. So I am going to pull out the 2 that I have been working on this year. So the main one, the one that I try to get the most work on, the one that I aim for 300 stitches a day, is the Magic Study from Heaven and Earth Designs. The artwork is by Rose Kahn, and it is a limited edition out of print pattern. And when I saw it, I fell in absolute love with it. It is moody colors of purples and teals and pinks, and it is just, oh, I love it so much. So I'm going to insert a picture right here of what the finished product will look like when it's done. I have officially hit 16% complete. I am not going to take it out of its Q-snap. I do work within the Q-snap. I have been doing Royal Rose, but kind of a modified version of Royal Rose within the Q-snap. I don't move the Q-snap that often, and I have got the extra fabric kind of tied in the back and in my grime guard. So I'm not taking it out. Maybe one day I'll show you when it's taken out, but that is not today. So without further ado, here is where I am. Like I said, I'm about 16% complete, and so I am currently working across here and continuing down. And once I get down level to where this is, when I get to right about here, I will move the Q-snap again, and I am going across the top portion. Once I get the entire top portion done, then I will come back to this side and I will go across in a very similar way. I use Markup RXP because I use my iPad, and I absolutely love Markup RXP. It is a wonderful program if you're a cross stitcher and you use Apple products. You can do a preview. In fact, while I'm here, let me show you the preview. So this is what it'll look like when it's done, and this is using the program. It is basically taking all of the DMC colors, and it is showing you exactly, once it's all marked up, what it'll look like. And taking the preview off, I have done this much. So again, that's what I've done. That's what it'll look like when it's done. So you can see I am right about 16% done. My goal every day is to get 300 stitches on this done. I am doing this on 25 count easy grid, and I am doing this 1/1 with the called for DMC colors that come with it. It has, I want to say it's 90 colors overall. And I keep my threads on these floss drops that I got from Adam Hart Cross Stitch. I absolutely love these floss drops. They're amazing. She did a great job designing them. They have the ability to be a bobbin if you want to wind them, but you take the the threads, the DMCs, and you put them through, and I can pull one thread at a time. And then it also has this little etch out right here, where if you don't need that color anymore and you have a random thread, instead of trying to loop it through with the rest of the colors, you have this little area here where you can loop it through. Let me show you one that I've got that. Here we go. So you've got the main ones, and then I've got this extra one that I have used, but I don't have that color coming up anytime soon. And so I just have it wrapped right in there. It is phenomenal. I absolutely love these. She does them in a bunch of different colors, glitters and things like that. I don't care so much about the colors and things. I just have it set up to where I have just the frosted clear ones, and I will probably be ordering more from her in the future, but right now I'm trying to stick to just that one cross stitch pattern. So eventually I will buy more for my super size max color. I'm going to show you in just a minute, but for right now I have all of those floss drops. This one's kind of going rogue here. All of those floss drops on this Jailer's key ring, and they are in order and labeled, and I'm able to keep it all together. So this really works out for me. So this is from, I just got this Jailer's ring off of Amazon. Not a really big deal. And the final thing is another Heaven and Earth pattern, and this is a super size max color pattern, and this one's gonna take me a decade. I already know it. Amy Stewart is an amazing artist, and she has these beautiful designs, and as soon as I saw this one, I knew immediately I'm getting that pattern as soon as it comes out, and I wanted it in a super size max color. It is the Grand Library. I'm going to include a picture right here. And it is this beautiful bookshelf with all these different genres of books. And I am not as much of a reader as I used to be. I love to read. I just don't have the time to read as much as I would like. I do a lot of audiobooks now, but I do try to read as I can. And so I immediately purchased this pattern. I decided to do it on 25 count easy grid, just like with my Magic Study. And I decided on this one, I was going to do 2/1 tent stitch. And I started out doing great. I got through, I think I'm at 3.3% complete, and I haven't touched this in a year. So this is as far as I've gotten. I have not gotten very far. I have realized that I am more monogamous when it comes to cross stitching than a lot of people. I really want that Magic Study done, and since it's a regular size chart, I should be able to get it done faster. This guy, this is going to take a decade. This is going to take forever. So I'm going to focus my attention cross stitch wise on my Magic Study. Maybe over the summer I will pull this guy out. Maybe I'll just work on like do 1% on the Magic Study and then come over here for 1% or something like that. I really just, I lost my steam on this one. I love it. I want it. But it takes so long to see that percentage move. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's amazing. I'm doing Royal Rose within the Q-snap here as well. I just have a larger Q-snap, and I made my own grime guard for this because I couldn't find a grime guard in the size that I needed. And I needed it to be pretty thick overall because there is so much fabric to this sucker. I needed it to be able to hold some of that. So I am doing my modified Royal Rose on this, and we'll see. We'll see if I get back to this anytime soon. I love it. I want it. I'm just not motivated right now on it. So, yep, that is that. So that's all of my WIPs. If you made it this far, thanks for joining me on my very first inaugural, I don't know whether to call this floss tube, call it a podcast. I guess call it what you will. I absolutely love to do things crafty. I love all of these projects, and hopefully I will have some finishes in 2024 to show you guys later on. My goal is to hopefully do one a month, maybe at the end of the month. Maybe that'll be a good marker for me to kind of see where I'm at with everything. We'll see what happens. So thanks for joining me. Please like, subscribe. The only way that videos get seen is if you do that. And so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below in the comments, and I will get back to you and answer those questions. Till next time, bye.